The air crackles with anticipation as Tenma stands amidst his peers. Watching over them is none other than the Northern Commander, Menu Izumi, the living legend who forged humanity's brightest light. To ignite the dormant sparks within these children, the Commander summons the ancient awakening monolith. Student after student steps forward, only to be met with cold, unyielding silence from the stone. Cruel irony strikes when the class tormentor, a hulking mass of malice, becomes the first to awaken. But our protagonist has no patience for arrogance. Shoving the bully aside, Tenma presses his hand against the artifact with burning resolve. In that split second, the commander recoils, witnessing the terrifying avatar of a god of destruction looming behind the boy. The monolith erupts in blinding light, blooming into a majestic blue lotus as Tenma seizes his destiny. He awakens a forbidden hidden skill known as Mimesis, a power that allows him to analyze any foe's technique and instantly forge the perfect countermeasure. It is the ultimate adaptive ability, turning him into an unstoppable force of nature. Consumed by green-eyed jealousy, the bully lunges at Tenma with murderous intent. In a flash of movement too fast to track, Tenma materializes behind his attacker like a phantom. His killing intent alone paralyzes the bully, freezing the fool's very soul in terror. The coward collapses, utterly humiliated, having completed his analysis. Tenma extracts the essence of the attack, unlocking Thunderwave and manifesting his own miniature lotus domain. With every adaptation complete, the onlookers realize they are not looking at a student, but a monster in human skin who has just defied the laws of nature. But fate is never kind. Suddenly, the sky tears open, and a colossal monolith crashes down, crushing the Institute beneath its weight. The situation is dire. Even with the Northern Commander present, the scale of this catastrophe spells doom. This descent heralds the arrival of a disaster beast. Panic erupts as students scatter like frightened rats. Yet, Tenma remains motionless. Rage boils in his veins, overriding all fear. He stands his ground, ready to face the apocalypse single-handedly. Destiny has delivered a cruel gift. This beast belongs to the very same species that slaughtered his mother. A twisted smile forms on his lips. Today is a glorious day for revenge. He stares down the badass skeleton soldier, a creature wreathed in hellfire, without flinching. With fresh power surging through his meridians, our boy decides it is the perfect time for a field test. Unleashing Thunderwave, he launches forward like a lightning bolt, closing the distance to the skeleton soldier in a heartbeat. The monster swings with devastating force, but Tenma is a blur of motion. He evades the strike and retaliates with a ferocious haymaker, refusing to let another innocent life be extinguished. That single, earth-shattering blow flattens the beast. His classmates watch in stunned silence, their jaws on the floor. Trembling before Tenma's overwhelming aura, they wonder if fleeing is even necessary when a god walks among them. The supposed nobody has just annihilated a level 8 Calamity Beast with a single punch, sending it flying across the wreckage. The supervisor is baffled. Tenma's reading shows level 0, yet his output far exceeds any ordinary awakener in history. However, victory is not so simple. Defeating a skeleton soldier should be impossible for a rookie, for the creature possesses two terrifying abilities. First, it boasts an impenetrable defense that shrugs off steel. Second, and far deadlier, is the activation of Bonefire, a wall of searing blue flames capable of incinerating anything in existence. While his friends watch in horror, the jealous bully grins with malicious delight, eagerly awaiting Tenma's demise. It looks like the end of the road, but for Tenma, the real battle has only just begun. Channeling the focus of a copy master, Tenma dissects the ability within his mind. He realizes that the more pain he endures, the faster his analysis speed climbs. The icy beauty instructor watches in disbelief, as not even a level 10 awakener should be able to withstand the direct heat of the bonefire without turning to ash. In reality, our hero is burning alive. His skin chars and peels in the inferno. His flesh withers until his very ribs are exposed. Yet he stands unmoving, ignoring the agony with absolute stoicism. Through the flames, he sees the memory of his beloved mother consumed by this same fire. The supervisor realizes with a shudder that the boy hasn't even unleashed his full potential. Half his face burned away, the genius awakener looks like a vengeful demon at death's door. and vows to obliterate the skeleton soldier the instant his system completes the analysis. The scene is viscerally terrifying. His classmates hang their heads in shame, regretting every moment they spent looking down on him. Suddenly, the spectral blue lotus surges with light once more, signaling that a miracle is about to descend. As his body crumbles, Tenma grasps the new power. He unlocks Black Ice Wall, a skill that generates glacial frost to nullify any flame-based attack. The moment the skill activates, the system intervenes with a surge of restoration. His health bar rockets back to maximum, halting the destruction of the unquenchable black flames. Tenma understands that raw strength wasn't enough to finish the soldier in one hit, but with his stats amplified by the counter skill, victory is now within reach. The ethereal petals of the lotus wrap around him in a comforting embrace, rebirthing him from the ashes, stronger than ever before. The onlookers gasp in sheer disbelief, witnessing a regeneration ability that defies all logic, knitting his flesh back together in mere seconds. Even the instructor stands frozen, eyes wide with awe at the unparalleled potency of his healing arts. Moments ago, he unleashed a devastating lightning strike, and now this one fact is undeniable. Tenma is a monster among men, an awakener of the highest caliber. His rapid self-recovery raises a terrifying question. Could he regenerate vital organs, or perhaps even his own brain, from the brink of death? But the enemy does not wait for answers. The skeleton soldier roars in fury, unleashing a second tidal wave of blue hellfire. However, this time is different. Tenma encases his body in a layer of impenetrable metallic ice armor. The scorching blue flames wash over him harmlessly, unable to leave even a scratch on his absolute defense. Like a god of destruction descending upon the mortal realm, he tears through the firestorm, morphing his ice armor into a colossal blade extending from his arm, radiating an aura of overwhelming power. He looks less like a student and more like a final boss waiting at the end of a dungeon. Yet this legend is only just beginning. With a sword the size of a building, Tenma delivers a single, catastrophic slash, cleaving the skeleton monster in two and leaving the spectators breathless. The strike was so fast that the human eye could not even register the movement until the destruction was already complete. As the battle concludes, Tenma's armor dissolves into mist, proving he has mastered the ultimate duality of offense and defense. His friends rush to his side, with Rookie embracing him in relief, though Seo is notably absent, having fled the scene in overwhelming worry. Tenma wonders if his reckless fighting style upset her, while the adults remain paralyzed by the impossibility of what they just witnessed. A mere student has single-handedly annihilated a Calamity Beast so powerful that not even a level 100 Awakener could suppress it. Cha is ordered to secure the perimeter and inform the principal immediately. This genius Awakener must be recruited at all costs. Rookie looks at his best friend with reverence, proclaiming that Tenma looked like a deity of war amidst the chaos. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts as the supervisor, Menu, approaches personally, causing the class to tremble at the presence of such a high-ranking figure. This is the man who once mentored a legend, raising the strongest Awakener in human history, Jin Taewa, which means his standards are impossibly high. Rookie wisely retreats to give them privacy, while the Northern Commander praises Tenma for his terrifying potential. Tenma is confused by the praise, but Menu hasn't just seen talent. He has seen the bottomless abyss of rage and hatred burning in the boy's heart. He asks what tragedy could forge such a resentful soul, prompting Tenma to reveal the nightmare that destroyed his innocence. 10 years ago, a young Tenma faced certain death at the hands of a skeleton monster, only to be saved at the last second. But the rescue came too late for one. He was forced to watch his mother wither away, her flesh consumed by the beast's agonizing bone fire. With her dying breath, she commanded him to walk his path with conviction, and in that moment, a seed of pure hatred took root. He vowed to slaughter them all, to ensure the absolute extinction of the demon of ruin and every last one of its kin. That ancient rage surfaces even now, tears streaming down his face, a detail that does not escape Menu's sharp gaze. Strangely, his left eye remains dry as a desert, while only his right eye weeps, a physical scar of his trauma. This anomaly began the very day he lost his mother, a constant reminder of the tragedy. After hearing his tale of sorrow, Menu makes an offer that could change everything: become his student, join the elite, and gain the power to hunt monsters. The Savior League stands as humanity's shield, an organization of the world's strongest awakeners dedicated to the slaughter of Calamity Beasts. It is essentially an army of the supernatural, forged for the sole purpose of extermination. Members are titled saviors, granted access to unlimited resources, divine weaponry, and elite training to ascend the ranks. It is a lucrative path as well. Even a trainee earns 10,000 gold monthly, a fortune to the common man. Yet, this generosity comes with a heavy burden of duty. Saviors are the vanguard, required to answer the call of battle and defend the world whenever the monsters emerge. But truthfully, Tenma cares nothing for the gold or the glory. His only desire is the thrill of the hunt and the death of his enemies. He is becoming an avatar of vengeance. He accepts the offer. Learning that the annual selection exam takes place every February with 10,000 applicants. Merit determines their fate, and only the top 100 candidates will be granted the title of savior. A spark of competition lights up in Tenma's eyes as he asks about the highest score ever recorded. Menu recalls the legendary record of 115,000 points, set by the strongest warrior, Jin Taewa. For 11 years, that record has remained untouchable, and even achieving half that score guarantees first place. Tenma gazes into the distance, revering Jin Taewa not just as a hero, but as the absolute monster he himself strives to become. Menu issues a grim warning to his new student. Comparing himself to the legend, Jin Taewa is a path to despair. That man stands on a summit no mortal can reach. But Tenma possesses an arrogance that rivals the heavens. With eyes burning with ambition, he vows to shatter that impossible record, leaving Menu stunned by his audacity. The declaration echoes a memory from the past. Jin Taewa, his former disciple, once prophesied that a challenger would one day rise to eclipse his own brilliance. Could this be the moment fate ordained the successor has finally arrived to claim the throne? Infinite potential radiates from the young man standing before him. The scene shifts to the towering stone monuments. These ancient structures are the gateways to hell, tearing open rifts between the dimensions. Merely slaughtering beasts is futile. Unless the monument itself is obliterated, the nightmare will never end. The spawn will continue endlessly. This fortress was constructed to imprison the Calamity. It acts as a cage, preserving the monuments while ensuring no beast escapes to ravage the world. Now, it serves a new purpose, a crucible for forging the next generation of saviors, a training ground where weakness is purged. In the League's terminology, this is a stage, but make no mistake, the monsters lurking within are feral, uncontrollable forces of destruction. It is a slaughterhouse for the unprepared. Countless novices have marched in, never to return, earning this place the grim title of the Rookie Graveyard. The legend, Jin Taewa, conquered this abyss in mere minutes, specifically 3 minutes flat. That is the wall Tenma must climb. Menu demands he crush that record. Only by clearing the stage in under 3 minutes will he be worthy of the title of disciple. Tension fills the air as Menu strides through the hall with the rookie everyone is whispering about. Rumors are spreading like wildfire. They are already daring to compare this unknown boy to the legend of the strongest warrior. Minds are blown witnessing this spectacle. They cannot comprehend how a nobody is walking shoulder to shoulder with the great Menu himself. While the crowd speculates, Tenma's gaze locks onto the difficulty board. He checks the disaster level. Level 10. This is 2 entire ranks above the skeleton soldier he faced before. He wonders what manner of nightmare awaits him inside. Seeing the terror on their faces, Tenma scoffs. Why does everyone here look like a terrified civilian who has never tasted the blood of a real battle? He approaches the reception desk and demands entry. The attendant goes through the protocol, asking for his party list, only for Tenma to drop a bombshell. He is going in alone. A heavy silence descends upon the room. The receptionist sighs, taking his boldness as a pathetic attempt at flirting. She assumes he's just another arrogant hotshot trying to impress her, effectively killing any charm he might have had. Tenma is completely oblivious to her train of thought. Meanwhile, the spectators begin to snicker, mocking him for his inflated ego and poor pickup skills. Impatient, he clarifies his intent. He has no interest in romance or games. He demands to challenge the stage, but the receptionist, convinced of her own allure, believes he is just doubling down to save himself from embarrassment. She even reaches for a pen, ready to give him her number out of pity, just to stop this fool from throwing his life away. His patience snaps, rage flares in his eyes as he issues a cold threat. He will not repeat himself a third time. He has zero interest in a delusional receptionist. The only thing that exists in his world right now is the mission. Trembling at his intensity, she finally relents. She processes the request, emphasizing that his death will be his own fault. Tenma snatches the entry bracelet, annoyed by the sheer waste of time. The onlookers shake their heads, thinking he's a fool for rejecting the girl and playing the tough guy. But they don't understand. Any rookie daring to challenge a level 10 stage is signing a death warrant. They are begging to be torn apart by the beasts. The power gap is absolute. While the crowd continues to spew their trash talk, a few keen eyes are actually curious. They want to see what kind of gift this arrogant boy possesses to justify such confidence. But the reality is harsh. Despite his gift, his system level is still 0. In their eyes, he is already a walking corpse. Ignoring the noise, Tenma scans his bracelet, the system authenticates his ID, and the gateway to the other side grinds open. Formalities are over. He stretches his limbs, his body coiling like a spring ready to explode. The timer activates 3 minutes to make history. He launches himself forward with explosive speed. As he enters, the sheer scale of the artificial dimension hits him. It is massive. His first opponent manifests a level 4 Kodama. It's a grotesque, twisted abomination that barely resembles a living creature. But Tenma doesn't hesitate. With a single fluid motion, his blade sings through the air, cleaving the beast in two. His ice morphing ability is fully awakened. He can instantly manifest battle axes, swords, or any weapon his mind can conjure. As the first monster falls, the horde is alerted. A swarm of living, hungry timber rushes toward him, looking like nightmare versions of pocket monsters. Meanwhile, in the observation room, Aya is furious. She strongly opposes this brutal trial her father has orchestrated. There were countless easier stages for a beginner, yet he threw Tenma into the deep end. It is clear he only cares about one thing, seeing if the boy can surpass Jin. He is ruthlessly comparing the rookie's performance against the legend's shadow. Even she believes it is a fool's errand. Surpassing the ultimate warrior is impossible. His power lies beyond the realm of humanity. But her father simply watches, testing her conviction. She remembers Jin. He seemed kind, even approachable at first. But that illusion shattered when she watched him slaughter a level 97 Calamity Beast as if he were merely swatting a fly. She gazed into eyes that held the cold calculation of a divinity. It was as if this man had transcended the mortal coil, ascending to the realm of gods. However, Menu counters this awe, arguing that the very same potential lies dormant within Tenma, though his ascension is far from complete. If Jin is the radiant savior of humanity, then Tenma is the demon lurking in the abyss. Fueled by pure hatred. Two forces destined to oppose one another. Back on the battlefield, our protagonist has annihilated the Kodama horde with terrifying ease. Disappointingly, his Mimesis ability dismisses these weaklings, deeming them unworthy of analysis. Suddenly, a presence flashes behind him. He retaliates instantly with a reflex slash, severing the ambush before it can even begin. Tenma questions the reality before him. Are these really disaster level 10 monsters? Impossible. If they were this fragile, this stage would never bear the name Rookie Graveyard. There must be a hidden danger. The system chimes a B-rank skill, self-regeneration, has been detected, and the analysis cycle kicks into gear. But he is caught off guard. The fallen beast rises like an immortal colossus, overwhelming him with a torrent of earthly vines. The blade had surely cut true, yet the creature restores itself in the blink of an eye. Now the true horror of a level 10 monster is revealed. Tenma activates Black Ice Wall, encasing his arms in razor-sharp spikes. His objective is simple: inflict absolute devastation, faster than the beast can heal. Dual swords dance in a blur of violence as he shreds the creature relentlessly. While his body fights, his mind races, processing the analysis cycle in the background. A lethal slash severs the head, but even that fails to kill it. A twisted euphoria rises within Tenma as he continues the slaughter. In this moment, he is the true monster, delivering a storm of slashes so dense it resembles an inescapable domain of death. The beast erupts into gore, seemingly ending the battle. A fortunate turn, as Tenma's mana reserves are dangerously depleted from spamming his black ice arts. But fate is cruel. Like an immortal nightmare, the creature regenerates from a mere speck of flesh, leaving Tenma frustrated and forcing him to dodge. He is shocked by the monster's persistence, but there is a silver lining. With every regeneration, the system's analysis speed multiplies exponentially. The tide of battle turns against him, threatening to drown him. He is forced to seal his black ice, relying solely on speed to survive until the analysis completes. To make matters worse, the clock is ticking down mercilessly. With a reckless grin, he gambles it all. Thunderwave and Black Ice Wall activate in unison for one last desperate attempt. He shreds the vines, forcing the beast to regenerate repeatedly to accelerate the analysis. If his mana hits 0, he is a dead man. Then again, if this is his limit, he deserves to die as a fraud. He pours his soul into one final, furious slash to decapitate the beast, but the gambit fails. His mana runs dry, and in that split second of vulnerability, his body is pierced a dozen times, riddled with holes. This is the brink of death. But suddenly, the Mimesis process reaches completion, the only power that transcends mana costs. The blue lotus blooms from the abyss. He has acquired the Lotus Burst skill from the creature's regeneration. The monster strikes to finish him, but the trap is sprung. Lotus Burst detonates, igniting all surrounding mana into cataclysmic destruction. Simultaneously, the completion of his Mimesis triggers a miraculous effect. Every wound on Tenma's body begins to auto-heal. The beast freezes in terror, and as Tenma claps his hands, the blue lotus unleashes absolute hell. The shockwave incinerates everything, reducing the immortal nightmare to nothing but drifting ash. Tenma stands amidst the smoke, battered but victorious. This was his final trump card. Incredibly, he unleashed this devastation using only a third of the mana recovered via Mimesis. Mob monsters are no longer a threat. The Mimesis skill has proven its worth, restoring both vitality and magical power. Only a single shard remains, while chaos reigns in the outside world. The receptionist trembles, begging for a rescue team for the rookie who ventured into the abyss. Even Aga believes the boy has fallen to the level 10 monster, and the time limit makes the situation hopeless. Suddenly, the status board flickers. A new legend is born, shattering everyone's expectations. The 11-year record has been broken. Itsuki Tenma has cleared the stage in 2 minutes and 14 seconds. He emerges from the gate, an aura of blood and war clinging to him. Doubt turns to worship as the underdog obliterates Jin's record with a whole minute to spare. Tenma stepped forward, his eyes burning with expectation, and faced Menu with the question that weighed on his soul: had he finally proven himself worthy of being called a disciple? The master's gaze softened, a look of genuine pride replacing his usual stoicism. Agaya watched in disbelief. Seeing her father smile like that was a sight rarer than a blue moon. The onlookers whispered among themselves, convinced that this miracle was merely the result of the master's guidance. But they were dead wrong. The power that shattered the record belonged to Tenma alone. The receptionist approached him, her face burning with shame. The arrogance she displayed earlier had evaporated, replaced by sheer embarrassment. With trembling hands, she offered him a commemorative reward for his record-breaking feat, a gesture that caught our protagonist completely off guard. Yet, he didn't hold it against her. After all, who wouldn't worry about a reckless rookie marching into the jaws of death on a high-difficulty stage? His smooth forgiveness left her completely flustered, her heart racing. Agaya, however, quickly stepped in to pop his bubble, teasing him sharply not to get arrogant just because he had gained her father's favor. Menu, observing the potential radiating from his student, decided that the current level was merely child's play. It was time to escalate the danger. Ordinary trials would no longer suffice. The master declared that the advanced stage was the only battleground fit for Tenma's capabilities. But make no mistake, stage levels are not merely numbers indicating a beast's brute strength. The true horror lies in their species. While some are mindless brutes, others possess a terrifying intellect that rivals, or even surpasses, that of humanity. These cunning entities are infinitely more lethal than any mindless beast. In a twisted sense, both awakeners and these monsters operate under the same laws of existence. Just as humans are defined by their classes and ranks, monsters are defined by the hierarchy of their species. The advanced stages are the domain of these intelligent nightmares. Defeating a thinking predator is a challenge that dwarfs any battle against a mindless beast of the same level. Tenma's next hunting ground was chosen District 4 of the northern stage. Heading there, he realized the bitter truth until now. He had only been crushing trash mobs that lacked the brain power to offer a real fight, but the realization brought a twisted smile to his face. Intelligent monsters felt fear, they felt pain, and Tenma was absolutely ecstatic at the prospect of making them scream. A terrifying bloodlust radiated from him, the aura of a predator who had just discovered a fresh supply of prey. Back in the city, the world was in an uproar. A legendary record that had stood for 11 years had been shattered by a nobody, and the streets were buzzing with his name. However, the advanced stages of District 4 were not free land. That territory was ruled by an iron fist, dominated entirely by a single man. Countless awakeners had ventured there, never to return. Whispers in the shadows spoke of a secret assassin who culled anyone daring enough to enter. One fool dared to whisper the name Raji Kinoshita, only to be immediately silenced by his terrified companion before he could sign his own death warrant. Raji was revealed to be the son of the District 4 Ward Chief, a privileged tyrant who treated the world as his personal playground and demanded absolute servitude. In his mind, every stage in the district was his property, and waiting in line was a concept reserved for the trash beneath his feet. Meanwhile, Tenma opened a loot chest and revealed a stone identical to the one he found in the dungeon. Menu was stunned. Finding such an item immediately after slaying a disaster beast was unheard of. However, a closer inspection revealed a crucial difference between the two artifacts. One glowed with a vibrant emerald hue, shocking Agaya to her core. It was an intermediate grade stone, a treasure of immense value. Tenma demanded to know the true nature of these karma stones. The answer was simple yet profound. They were solidified experience points. Slaying monsters or murdering fellow awakeners generates karma. This invisible energy is the fuel required to ascend the rankings and increase one's level. A karma stone is a vessel containing pure, concentrated power. Absorbing one grants the user a massive surge in strength without the need for battle. But the anomaly remained. Karma stones do not simply form naturally within a stage. It defied the laws of the system. Menu's eyes narrowed as he deduced the truth. This phenomenon was caused by Tenma's unique gift, a revelation that left them both speechless. Under normal laws, the karma of the defeated is instantly absorbed by the victor's soul. Yet, despite slaughtering 2 disaster beasts, Tenma had not leveled up. His body was rejecting the karma. Menu realized the cruel irony all this time. The experience Tenma earned had been leaking out, absorbed by the awakeners around him while he received nothing. But inside the solo stage, there were no parasites to steal his power. Since Tenma could not absorb it, and no one else was present, the rampant energy was forced to condense, solidifying into a physical karma stone. Agaya's face darkened with worry. If he couldn't level up naturally, her father's new student was doomed to stagnation. Before she could probe further, her father raised a hand to silence her. An awakener's skill is their lifeblood, a secret that must never be pried into. Menu advised him to sell the stone if he wished to profit. But now, the master had business elsewhere. A summit with the supreme leaders of the 5 continents required his presence. He entrusted Tenma's supervision to Agaya, but before vanishing, he left his disciple with 3 critical commands. First, his status as Menu's disciple must remain absolute darkness. Second, the details of his gift must never leave his lips. And finally, a challenge: he must conquer at least 6 advanced stages before the master returns. Above all, he was granted total autonomy. His power was his own, to use as a savior or a destroyer, as he saw fit. The rookie accepted the decree without hesitation. The screen fades, shifting our gaze to the treacherous landscape of the Northern District. The tension is thick enough to choke on. Other awakeners are boiling with rage as they are denied entry. Forced to bow before the tyranny of Reiji Kinoshita, his guards stand like iron walls, demanding total submission. One brave soul dares to speak up, calling Reiji a pampered brat who relies on daddy's money. He shouts that the guild will hear about this, but his words are cut short. In a blink, the protester is sent flying. He crashes into the nearest concrete wall, his rebellion crushed in an instant along with his ribs. A B-rank earth spike explodes against the guard's chest in retaliation, but when the dust settles, not a single scratch is visible on this behemoth. The attacker freezes in absolute terror. His technique, capable of piercing through monster hide, is useless against the metallic sheen now covering the guard's skin. The giant seizes the attacker's arms in a vice grip. A brutal headbutt follows. The sickening sound of bone meeting bone echoes through the hall. Lights out, a level 7 and a level 8 awakener, both defeated instantly. The power gap is despairingly wide. This monster is Takeru Oga, one of the 4 heavenly kings serving Reiji, a walking fortress of destruction who takes 0 damage. As a level 12 metal bender, he stands as a grim reminder anyone who defies Reiji's will faces a death sentence. His bloodlust isn't satisfied yet. He blocks the medics with his massive frame, refusing to let his victims escape to safety. He intends to torture them right here and now. Even his ally warns him to restrain his cruelty, as too many eyes are watching this display. Suddenly, a blur of motion tears through the standoff. A mysterious figure catches the falling victim before he hits the cold ground. The crowd whispers, dismissing this newcomer as another fool rushing to an early grave, just another loser signing his death warrant, they think. Even the victim warns him to run. But Tenma stands firm. Takeru is the wall blocking his path to the stage. And that wall must come down. Ida watches anxiously from the sidelines, ready to call for high-ranking backup, but our main character has other plans. He recalls his master's teachings, do what is right, follow your own justice. The time for hesitation is over. He hands the injured man to Ida. A terrifying, malevolent aura explodes from him. How can a level 0 rookie possess such suffocating killing intent? Takeru scoffs, but a bead of sweat rolls down his face. This pressure, it feels unnaturally dangerous, triggering his survival instincts. Still, arrogance blinds him. Relying solely on his superior stats, Takeru believes victory is already his for the taking. Big mistake, Tenma vanishes. He reappears instantly, his fist connecting with Takeru's face in a thunderous impact that shakes the air. The gallery goes dead silent. The rookie's speed is beyond comprehension. Their eyes couldn't even track the movement. But Takeru is a tank. He metallized just in time, unscathed. He swings his massive fist down, mocking Tenma's lack of raw power while admitting the kid is fast. Tenma dodges effortlessly, weaving through the attacks like smoke, but he knows the situation is dire. That surprise attack was his one golden opportunity. Now, he faces an alerted and superior enemy who knows he is coming. He needs more power. Tenma engages his Thunderwave skill, pushing it to the limit, while his system analyzes the metal skin in the background. This metallization skill is dangerous. It carries the curse of Midas. Tenma realizes he can no longer hold anything back. He must go all out. Blunt force is useless against that armor. He must be surgical. He needs to find the flesh beneath the steel to deal any real damage. He launches a high kick. Takeru blocks it effortlessly, sneering at the weak impact. Too slow, too weak, the giant taunts. But the giant has fallen into the trap. This isn't a struggle, it is a setup. Tenma conditioned him to expect a certain speed. Now, he shatters that limit Thunderwave overdrive. Takeru's eyes widen in horror. Lightning crackles. Tenma unleashes a barrage of strikes, every single punch finding its mark with pinpoint accuracy. The system continues its analysis while the blows rain down. The crowd watches in awe as the tide of battle turns. They realize this is no ordinary rookie. He is wielding multiple high-level skills simultaneously. Takeru is overwhelmed. He has no time to breathe, no time to metallize. How can a low-rank awakener move with such godlike speed? The punches rain down like a storm. He can't even open his mouth to command his subordinates to intervene. Pushed into a corner, the giant panics. He has no choice but to unleash his ultimate defense card. He rips his shirt apart. It's not just for show. His entire body turns into gleaming, impenetrable steel, full metallization mode activated. For the first time, Takeru is forced to go all out against a mere child. The humiliation burns him almost as much as the lightning. His physical defense skyrockets by 50%. If he stands still, it doubles again. He has become an immovable object. Even his dignity is now armored in titanium. You have to admire the sheer commitment to absolute defense. Takeru grins, feeling invincible again. He thanks the heavens for his evolution and prepares to crush the insect before him. With defense surpassing level 12, the crowd despairs. Nothing can scratch him now, but the system chimes analysis complete. Tenma stops and smiles coldly. He points out the fatal flaw. Takeru dumped all his points into defense and completely neglected his mana reserves. Takeru tries to laugh it off, but fear grips his heart. The rookie sees right through his soul. Tenma assumes a stance. He doesn't need to break the armor. He just needs to watch this tank run out of gas. Instead, he decides to end this battle in a single heartbeat. The Blue Lotus manifests. signaling a terrifying evolution in Tenma's power. The ethereal flower blooms, dazzling the spectators, though they cannot fathom how such a delicate beauty will penetrate the iron defense of Teru. With the technique complete, Tenma unlocks the clear orb, piercing true sphere. It is a defense-ignoring ability that guarantees devastation. However, this god-tier skill has a fatal flaw: range and speed. It moves sluggishly, making it deceptively easy to evade. This forces Tenma into a high-stakes gamble, where he must time the trajectory perfectly to rip apart the absolute defense Teru takes such pride in. As the skill activates, his stats skyrocket, and the atmosphere trembles as he casts the creation of the piercing orb. Even with the distance between them, Tenma radiates arrogance, openly challenging his opponent to try and dodge the incoming judgment. The crowd watches in breathless anticipation, captivated by Tenma's confidence and wondering what miracle he intends to perform. The piercing sphere drifts forward, agonizingly slow. It looks so insignificant that the idea of it being a threat seems laughable. The orb is so minuscule that Teru refuses to move, choosing to tank it head-on, completely underestimating Tenma's trump card. The moment the sphere makes contact with his arm, the expression of mockery on Teru's face shifts instantly to pure horror. The attack does not just break the limb, it obliterates it, exploding the arm into a mist of blood. Tenma had warned the fool to dodge. He specifically targeted the arm as an act of mercy, though he could have easily aimed for the heart if he viewed this man as a true monster. Teru screams in agony, his pride shattered, as Tenma coldly orders the staff to drag the broken man to a hospital. They scramble to scrape him off the floor, carrying him away in defeat, as the day is saved not by heroes, but by sheer overwhelming power. Tenma is instantly hailed as a conqueror by the masses. Suddenly, everyone is desperate to form a party with him to speedrun the stages. The frenzy is so intense that hunters are nearly coming to blows just for the chance to shake his hand. But Tenma ignores the noise, far too busy relishing his new ability, a weapon capable of crushing defense specialists like Teru. The orb possesses a hidden terrifying effect. It gains speed for every kill it claims against enemies with higher defense stats than Tenma. The two recruiters beg for an answer, desperate to sign him, but he coldly declines, stating he works better alone. Instantly, the fickle crowd turns on him, mocking him as a fool for daring to challenge an advanced stage solo just because he defeated one tank. Public opinion shifts like the wind. They are now perfectly content to leave this supposed madman to die in the dungeon. With the naysayers gone, Menu's daughter steps in, warning that every Calamity Beast in the advanced stages possesses defense relative to Teru. This means our protagonist must manage his mana with surgical precision if he wants to survive. Tenma remains unfazed, telling her to relax, which only flusters her more as she fears his death would bring shame upon her father. Additionally, Agaya explains that the stone beasts hunt in packs, but their intelligence is low, giving Tenma a chance to exploit them for mana drain. The system bracelet flashes, authorizing his entry, and Tenma steps boldly into his next trial by fire. He is immediately greeted by a nightmare, a horde of massive rock lizards swarming the area. Every single one of them boasts monstrous stats, far surpassing anything he has hunted before. A Colossus statue charges at full velocity, and Tenma decides to test his piercing orb against their impregnable stone skin. The petals of the lotus dance in the air, reminiscent of a legendary storm of blades. The orb connects with the statue, carving a clean hole straight through its torso and extinguishing its life instantly. This kill triggers the passive effect, granting a 100% speed increase to the orb, a massive advantage for Tenma. 3 of the terrifying statues lunge at once, but Tenma channels lightning through his veins, blitzing past them in a blur of motion. He obliterates the trio with an explosive strike, sacrificing a third of his mana pool, but there is no time to rest. 2 more beasts attack from the flanks. Tenma channels pure destruction, preparing to finish them off with the accelerated piercing orb. He gracefully evades their charge, causing the clumsy giants to smash into each other, creating the perfect setup for his attack. The orb, now moving with lethal velocity, tears through the air and kills both monsters in a single, fluid motion. Tenma stumbles, exhausted as his mana reserves hit 0. The constraints of his energy are becoming a fatal liability. He needs a recovery skill, and fast. Still, his progress is undeniable, with the orb now reaching speeds of 5 meters per second. But in his exhaustion, he forgot the final threat, a shadow crashing down from above, unleashing absolute destruction. One of the monsters has activated a gigantification skill, transforming into a titan. It becomes a threat level rivaling a kaiju. Its sheer size is overwhelming, but Tenma forces his body to move at lightning speed. He dashes vertically up the creature's body like a streak of light, unsure if his attack can pierce a beast of this magnitude. With steel in his eyes, he selects his target and unleashes the piercing orb straight at the monster's skull. However, from this distance, Tenma miscalculates the threat, assuming the small size of the orb implies minimal damage. The titanic stone statue retaliates with a world-shaking punch, unable to dodge midair. Tenma is forced to unleash black ice just to survive the impact. The force acts like a cannonball, blasting him backward until he smashes violently into the arena wall. This battle is far more brutal than anticipated. But then a chime echoes. The system activates over Mimesis, automatically analyzing the enemy, and a predatory grin spreads across Tenma's face. The scene shifts to Rai's headquarters, where one of his subordinates bursts in, trembling with shock. Rai scowls at the noise, but the agent brings urgent news that freezes the room. Someone has defeated Takeru and infiltrated the advanced stages. The news infuriates the arrogant young master. He refuses to believe Takeru lost with his current power level. The only logical explanation is that a monster over level 30 intervened. However, high-ranking Awakeners rarely toy with weaklings. They deal with actual missions, not playground skirmishes. Every regular Awakener in the facility is around level 10, yet the impossible has happened. Rai simply cannot fathom that a lowly level 10 warrior could crush Takeru. Determined to uncover the truth, Rai decides to hunt down the culprit himself, believing they can catch him if they move immediately. His agent begs for caution, but the fool ignores the warning, his pride blinding his judgment. Rage consumes him. He intends to teach this upstart the terrifying price of offending the Kinoshita family. Back in the dungeon, Tenma has achieved the impossible. 100% analysis complete. As he shields himself within the lotus, the system confirms the acquisition of the gigantification concept. However, a notification defies his expectations. No new skill appears this time. Instead, his piercing orb evolves to level 2. It now grants the ability to manipulate size and doubles its passive velocity. Eager to test his new might, Tenma unleashes the evolved technique. A massive sphere manifests, instantly draining every drop of his mana in a single breath. This is the ultimate attack. The orb launches forward with the destructive force of a tactical nuke. He stands amidst the destruction, striking a pose worthy of the strongest sorcerer, wondering if he perhaps overdid it. The stone golem crumbles into dust. Tenma's growth is exponential. The orb's speed has skyrocketed to 7 meters per second. With just 2 more clears, he will rival the velocity of a speeding car. He realizes the passive effects he once ignored are actually his greatest weapons. Lotus Burst amplifies everything. If he buffs this passive further, he could snipe monsters from kilometers away with godlike precision. The advanced stage is cleared in a staggering 3 minutes. He sets a new record, leaving the other Awakeners utterly bewildered. Whispers fill the hall. How can a level 0 perform such miracles? It defies all logic. Then, Tenma emerges looking pristine, as if he just stepped out of a shower rather than a battlefield. No signs of injury remain. Even Agia is struck silent by his prowess. She praises his lightning-fast completion, though Tenma humbly credits his piercing orb. Suddenly, Tenma notices a delicate creature fluttering around her, a jade butterfly. This reveals Agia as the Shikigami user. Tenma, momentarily distracted by her beauty, refocuses on the spirit. He calls the creature beautiful before asking Agia a fundamental question. What exactly are the classes for regular Awakeners? Agia stares at him in disbelief. How can he be this strong, yet lack such basic knowledge? She explains that jobs are divided into 4 distinct categories. Unknowingly, Tenma has already encountered 3 of them. First is the Elementalist. They command the forces of nature with a wide range of elements. These are the most common combatants, boasting high raw power. The heavyset student from class and Takeru both fall into this rank. The second type is the Shikigami user. It seems this world follows the laws of Jujutsu sorcery. These spirits are bonded to their masters from the moment of birth, explaining the butterfly guarding Agia. Tenma analyzes the spirit and is shocked. The butterfly's level exceeds Agia's own. He bluntly questions if she is truly a veteran. His words strike like a dagger, shattering the poor girl's pride without a hint of mercy. Agia quickly corrects his misunderstanding. A Shikigami will always outlevel its master by design. Tenma's tactical mind immediately formulates a strategy in a fight. Ignore the beast and assassinate the master. Aja shudders, sensing the terrifying killing intent radiating from his calculated gaze. Regaining her composure, she introduces the third type, a mysterious class shrouded in secrecy. It is the Orderer, the very class Tenma possesses. The terrifying variable of Orderers is that no two are alike. Each possesses a unique, unpredictable power. The Blue Lotus, Tenma, stands apart from standard Awakeners who merely shift size or conjure shadow clones. While standard job skills are rigidly ranked from C to S within 4 pyramids of power, Order Breakers possess Z-rank abilities that defy the laws of this world. This is precisely why the Order Breaker class commands such fear and respect. Their unique skills are absolute anomalies. Yet, this power comes with a cost. The moment an opponent deciphers an Order Breaker's mechanism, their overwhelming advantage is nullified. It is the very reason his father, Minu, strictly forbade Geha from prying into our boy's true capabilities. But Tenma isn't irregular even among the Order Breakers. Geha has personally witnessed him wield 3 distinct skills, 2 of which belong to the Elementalist class. Tenma, however, is growing weary of her constant analysis and chatter. He cuts to the chase, demanding information on the 4th job category he has yet to see. She refuses to speak a word, citing it as punishment for his own secretive nature. Before they part ways, Geha asks for his battle plans moving forward. She learns that Tenma intends to spam clear the same advanced stage to power level continuously. She is forced to remind him of the system's rules. Stages have strict cooldown periods, locking him out for at least 2 days. It is a hindrance he had not calculated, a restriction that Rai likely keeps to himself to maintain his edge. Since upgrading his piercing orb is currently impossible, he decides to pivot and focus on evolving his area of effect nuke, Lotus Burst. He demands a different stage, one swarming with an even higher density of disaster beasts. Geha recalls a specific location that fits his reckless criteria. Though the individual threat level is low, the numbers are overwhelming. It is a nest of giant locusts, a swarm of at least 100 monsters. Without a wide-range annihilation skill, this stage is a death trap. She strongly warns him against such a suicidal attempt. Little does she know, our boy is already armed with the explosive detonation skill, Lotus Burst. He disregards her desperate warnings, leaving the bystanders in shock as he prepares to conquer the Locust domain. The crowd is already trembling, terrified that the vengeful Reggie will arrive at any moment, and they scramble to flee the area. Speaking of the devil, the scumbag arrives at that exact spot, only to realize his prey has already vanished to another location. It seems impossible that anyone could clear the stage in such record time. Reggie's blood boils, convinced this mysterious offender is mocking him. The humiliation stings his pride. He barks orders to track the mana residue and summon the tracker known as Hound. He wants Tenma alive to personally introduce him to a hellish torture. While he postures, in a different area, a pitiful awakener is barely clinging to the last threads of his life. He is being hunted by Charles the Hound, Reggie's elite subordinate. Even after exhausting his escape techniques, the gaping maw of a wild beast finds him. The creature clamps its jaws around him, while Reggie's other agent steps in to retrieve the broken body, still alive within the beast's mouth. The victim stammers, unable to comprehend how they tracked him down. The answer lies with the hunter's pet, a beast with an olfactory sense so acute it can hunt down any target with terrifying ease. This is Charles the Hound, a grim reaper sent to eliminate targets in Reggie's name. The man begs for mercy, but Charles is cold as ice. He allows his wolf to feast on human flesh, finally triggering a level up upon the victim's death. Charles reports the successful kill, but is shocked to learn about the heavy injuries sustained by their ally, Tiru. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, he immediately signals to move toward Reggie's coordinates. Meanwhile, delighted by a fresh challenge, Tenma arrives at the stage, questioning the sheer density of the Locust swarm. Geha explains that monsters thrive in specific environments, making terrain knowledge a fundamental skill for any competent awakener. Advanced stages like this lack receptionists simply because the danger level is too extreme for normal personnel. Tenma wonders why this zone is completely locked down, considering it is only level 13 at best. In normal stages, retreat is an option, but here, amidst the locusts, escape is a luxury no one can afford. A single mistake means being ripped to shreds by the relentless swarm. Awakeners are devoured alive. leaving nothing but bleached bones. Yet, such horror stories fail to strike fear into our boy. He is just happy to find the perfect playground for a massacre. Geha looks at him like he has lost his mind. With his goal set, Tenma steps confidently into the abyss. Geha worries if her briefing was sufficient, only to be struck by a horrifying realization she forgot to mention the infinite respawn mechanic. Realizing her fatal error, Geha moves to breach the stage to warn him. But suddenly, an ominous pressure freezes her. Charles the Hound stands there, eyes glowing with devilish intent, looking for a certain someone. The scene cuts to black, transporting us inside the stage to witness Tenma's survival. He claps his hands together, the sound echoing like thunder to rouse the hive. It is time to wake the insects for their endless slaughter. Individually, they are pathetic mere level 1 fodder. But their sheer numbers make this a hunting ground worthy of a king. The sky darkens as over 100 of them descend at once. Tenma prepares his Lotus Burst technique, simultaneously shielding his body in impenetrable black ice armor. He baits them in. He waits until the swarm suffocates him from all directions. Only when they taste victory will he deliver their doom. Now, Tenma unleashes the Lotus Burst with surgical precision, obliterating the entire wave in a single heartbeat. Absolute annihilation. The slaughter forces his Lotus Burst to evolve to level 2. Its destruction radius doubles, expanding to a massive 10 meters. Tenma smirks. Monsters of this weak caliber are perfect experience points. Their deaths cost him almost no mana to execute. If he unleashes just 10 more blasts, if he reaps 100 souls with each swing, his skill mastery will skyrocket by 1000%. But his grin fades. He realizes this stage must have a cooldown mechanic. His farming spree might be cut short. He glances at his bracelet. Something is wrong. The stage clear notification refuses to appear. Instead, a sinister energy flares. The system detects the boss skill. Matriarch's will. Immediately, his analysis eye snaps open. The corpses of the fallen are not vanishing. They are being sucked into a dark vortex. Tenma flashes backward, putting distance between himself and the anomaly. He questions the situation. Is this the true power of the boss monster? He got too comfortable farming abilities. Now, the hunter is blind. The location of the boss remains a mystery. He has only one option: genocide. He will slaughter the swarm until the coward is forced to show its face. Lotus Burst ignites again. Another explosion rips through the air, obliterating the new wave. The blast radius expands to 16 meters, amplifying the destruction. A second wave, reduced to ash, yet the boss still refuses to appear. It is a nightmare loop. The fallen locusts rise from the dead, forming an undying army that will not stay down. Tenma calculates his reserves. He has mana for only 9 more detonations. He raises his hand, vowing to crush them as many times as it takes. Boom! A third explosion tears through the sky, racking up another kill streak of 100 in an instant. He pushes past his limits. The blast radius swells to 54 meters. But he is down to his final shot, and the insects are still spawning. The endless swarm rises again. For the first time, panic flickers in Tenma's eyes. His mana is dry, and the boss is still hidden in the shadows. Retreat never. His pride as a supreme predator will not allow him to flee this stage. He gathers the last dregs of his power. One final strike to end it all. The Lotus Burst detonates with cataclysmic force. It is his strongest attack yet, draining him completely. But from the smoke, the swarm rises again. His analysis is not finished. The realization hits him like a truck. He has made a catastrophic error. The queen possesses the infinite breeding ability. It is a battle of attrition he cannot win. To stop the swarm, he must sever the head. But with 0 mana, he's defenseless. Suddenly, fate intervenes. Analysis complete. The Lotus Domain unfurls, adapting perfectly to the queen's power. Tenma awakens a new detection skill. It is a cheat code, a direct counter to her hiding ability. With this power, he could theoretically keep the boss alive and farm these insects for eternity. However, Agaya is waiting for him outside. He cannot waste any more time playing games. Skill activated. His senses expand, mapping the entire dungeon in a heartbeat to hunt his target. Got you. The signal pings from deep underground. The rat has nowhere left to hide. Tenma channels his energy, mimicking a legendary technique. A violent violet orb forms in his palm, hollow purple. The orb drills through the earth, crushing the bedrock. It forces the queen into the open, right where she is most vulnerable. Tenma delivers a devastating strike to her blind spot, ending her reign. The queen is torn apart. The swarm descends into chaos, but Tenma is not done. He will send every last one of them to hell with their mother. One final detonation cleans the board. The blast radius hits a staggering 65 meters, wiping the Locust swarm from history. The harvest was bountiful. Tenma vows to return and farm this stage again. He clears the dungeon with a new record, 17 minutes. He steps out of the gate. His thoughts shift immediately to Agaya's safety. He wonders if she abandoned him. Strangely, he finds her awkward loyalty somewhat endearing. But the scene before him freezes his blood. Agaya is battered, covered in cuts, and a man named Charles has his hand around her throat. Tenma stands there, unharmed and radiating power. The hound realizes instantly this is the monster his master seeks. The treasure is real. Pure killing intent explodes from Tenma. Take your filthy hands off her, or I will end you right here. Charles sneers, dismissing him as an arrogant rookie. But before he can blink, Tenma teleports directly into his face. Panic strikes Charles's heart. He desperately summons his wolf Shikigami to intercept. The beast barely tanks the hit as Tenma's mimicry ability activates once more. Tenma instantly recognizes the dark arts at play. He is facing a Shikami user. While Charles calculates his next move, the summoned fighter maneuvers with terrifying speed. It is obvious how Tiru fell in battle, but Charles holds the ultimate trump card a hostage. Tenma wavers, fearing for the girl's life. That split-second distraction invites disaster as the Shikigami lunges for his face. The jaws of death possess a crushing force capable of shattering even the highest defense stats. To Charles's shock, black ice erupts to shield Tenma's arms simultaneously. His other hand charges a devastating kill shot. The piercing sphere annihilates the Shikami in a single thunderous strike, erasing it instantly. Having slain death itself, Tenma turns his predatory gaze to the puppet master, Charles. But the veteran awakener smirks. The rookie is unaware of the B- rank ability, Respawn Desire, which drastically reduces cooldowns. Tenma lowers his guard, and the creature instantly reforms to strike from the shadows. Fangs snap toward his throat, but the outcome was already written by his Monosense ability. Tenma counters effortlessly, halting the beast. His analysis skill ticks closer to 100% completion. However, if the Lotus manifests now, it exposes his secret trump card to the enemy. Charles begins to crack under the pressure. How is he fighting a monster with such insane speed, strength, and system hacks? Desperate, he tightens his grip on Gaia's throat, choking her into silence and threatening to execute her right there. Tenma hoped to complete the analysis quietly, but fate demands a more aggressive approach. Analysis complete. He unlocks Shikami Eater, a unique skill that usurps control of a summon with a single touch. It is the perfect counter. However, by suppressing the Lotus manifestation, he sacrifices his auto-recovery effects. That is the steep price he must pay for keeping his true powers hidden. Fortunately, he remains untouched, making the healing factor redundant for now. Without hesitation, he tests the Shikami Eater spell on the approaching monster. Activating his essence, he strikes the Shikami's forehead, seizing its spiritual strings before kicking it away with explosive speed. Charles assumes his pet was defeated again, cursing the creature as a useless mongrel. He prepares to snap Gaia's neck, but just as hope fades, Tenma raises his hands in a cinematic gesture of surrender. Charles smirks at the boy's obedience, but Tenma's mind is racing. Why is he the target of this assassination? Charles feigns ignorance, though he is the architect of this entire chaotic scenario. Finally, the truth spills out. Rai has been seething with rage ever since the mysterious awakener stole his advanced stages. That is why he hired Charles to eliminate the anomaly once and for all. Hearing Rai's name again exhausts Tenma. It seems those two are overdue for a private conversation. Charles laughs, assuring him they will meet soon right after his pet rips off Tenma's legs. And if Tenma dares to use his ice defense, Gaia dies instantly. He commands the beast to feast, but the tables have turned. The monster sinks its fangs into its former master. In a flash of thunderous speed, Tenma secures Gaia, Charles cannot comprehend why his own Shikami has betrayed him. Tenma praises his new loyal servant. But justice is not yet served for the humiliation this filth inflicted on Gaia. The predator has become the prey. Charles begs for his life, even offering to hunt down Rai to save his own skin. Tenma looks down with cold eyes, scoffing at the proposal. In a psychotic frenzy, Charles launches one final, desperate strike. The blade merely grazes Tenma. With a cold command, he orders the beast to give Charles the same torture he inflicted on others. It is a scene reminiscent of a tyrant's brutal end, poetic justice at its finest. The Shikami looms over its meal, while the once ruthless hunter whimpers like a frightened animal. Death unhinges its jaw and snaps shut, silencing Charles forever. Tenma watches with grim satisfaction. As the carnage ends, Tenma speaks to the shadows, calling out the rat hiding nearby. The spy steps into the light. Tenma, still radiating bloodlust, demands to know if he is another of Charles's lackeys. The stranger frantically denies the accusation, sensing the danger. But Tenma Bua has no patience for games. He orders death to finish its meal and return. The beast consumes the remains before fading into the void. Even a berserk monster obeys Tenma's will. The blonde observer realizes this is exactly the ally he needs. Iberia introduces himself, his eyes wide with awe at the devastating power Tenma just displayed on the battlefield. He recognizes Tenma as the monster who crushed Takaru, and he offers a lucrative proposal involving karma stones and high-grade weaponry. But our protagonist rejects it all without a second glance, turning his back in cold silence. No ordinary awakener would walk away from such riches, but Tenma is far from ordinary. However, the true value of a reward depends on the recipient's desperate need. Just as a vengeful spirit craves a blade, the wounded crave salvation. A realization flashes in Iberia's mind. He holds the perfect trump card. He sees the hesitation in Tenma's step. Aga is critically injured, and her life force is fading fast. By the time they reach a hospital, she will be gone. To bridge this gap between life and death, Iberia reveals a priceless healing treasure. It is a mystical scroll, radiating a soothing energy that finally halts Tenma's departure. He spins around, the mask of indifference cracking as relief floods his expression. This item could truly save his companion. Gently, they lay her down and bind her wounds with the mystical fabric. This is no ordinary bandage. It is a rare artifact woven from materials of the Shadow and Wood Spirit clans. Realizing the rookie is unfamiliar with such high-tier equipment, Iberia begins to explain the laws of this world. Modern firearms are useless toys against the creatures of destruction. True power lies with the crafters, who forge weapons from the very bones and essence of disaster beasts. These masterpieces are known as artifacts. They are categorized into 4 distinct ranks of power: common, rare, epic, and unique. Common artifacts are basic tools for survival, like the standard longsword, capable of scratching lower tier beasts. Rare artifacts actually boost the user's physical stats. Epic artifacts, like the Crimson Bloodsword, go even further, granting devastating special effects. And reigning above them all stands the unique class. These legendary items possess their own sentient skills, like the fabled Holy Sword itself. While crafters may not fight on the front lines, their value is immeasurable. Every powerful awakener owes their life and glory to the masters of the forge. Tenma realizes the truth. This man comes from a lineage of legends. In fact, his heritage is royalty among artisans. Across all 5 continents, only 10 unique artifacts exist. And guess what? Iberia's father, the artisan king of the north, created 3 of those god-tier weapons. Yet, Tenma remains utterly unimpressed by the prestige. He turns away, focusing instead on an object that actually matters. He inspects the crossbow he looted from Charles. It, too, pulses with the energy of an artifact. Iberia is thunderstruck. Most would grovel before such a lineage, but Tenma barely blinks. He identifies the crossbow as a rare tier artifact. Though it lacks ammunition, Iberia explains that high-tier weapons generate their own mana bolts. Suddenly, the weapon vanishes into thin air. This confirms its quality. The artifact is soulbound and has automatically returned to the user's subspace inventory. Tenma absorbs this knowledge and offers his gratitude for saving Aga's life. He acknowledges the debt, but his eyes burn with a new purpose. He intends to hunt down Rai personally. Iberia warns that challenging Rai alone is a suicide mission, but Tenma's resolve is made of iron. Fortunately, fate has aligned their paths toward a single target. Although he has no personal grudge, Iberia proposes a strategic alliance. They must join forces for the upcoming Savior Alliance tournament qualifiers. Tenma recalls the brutal event. Only the top 10 candidates advance to the main stage. This is why he has been relentlessly grinding through advanced dungeons, sharpening his fangs for this very moment. But he fails to see the connection until Iberia reveals the truth. The qualifiers are held continent by continent, and Rai, the arrogant son of the chief, is mandatory to attend alongside his brother. If they fail to secure a top 10 ranking, the prestigious Kinoshita family name will be shattered. That is why Rai is desperately monopolizing the dungeon stages to boost his strength before the test. Tenma narrows his eyes, questioning why a stranger would offer him such crucial support. Iberia admits that he simply admires strength, and his instincts scream that Tenma is the key to victory. Yet, the urgency in Iberia's voice suggests a hidden agenda. Tenma presses him, demanding the true reason behind his desperation. Iberia opens up, revealing a childhood spent watching his father forge miracles from steel and bone. His lifelong dream was to become an awakener, worthy of wielding his father's creations against the monsters. But reality was cruel. Even after awakening, his father deemed him unworthy, refusing to craft him a weapon. The ultimatum was absolute pass the qualifiers, or never hold a masterpiece in his hands. That is precisely why he harbors a burning desperation to pass the initial qualifiers, no matter the cost. Upon hearing the full story, Tenma realizes the truth. As the son of a legendary crafter, a line of elites must be begging to join him. Yet, he chose a level 0 novice. It turns out the master artisan set a cruel restriction. If Iberia passes by relying on an overpowered carry, he will be disowned and receive absolutely nothing. Essentially, he is dealing with the ultimate strict father figure, massive expectations, and 0 shortcuts allowed. The situation is dire. The strongest contestants have already been bought off by Ray, leaving only loners and pre-made parties remaining. With no one else to turn to, Tenma is his final hope. The very same young man who annihilated the mighty Takaru and crushed Charles moments ago. After a barrage of questions, our protagonist finally agrees to the alliance, but first, his priority is rushing Aja to medical care. Iberia is ecstatic. He is already brainstorming team names, his mouth moving a mile a minute with endless combinations. The guy is loyal, but his chatter is relentless. Amidst the noise, Tenma's thoughts drift to his old school friends, wondering if Remu and Saya have entered the fray. The scene shifts, and we catch Remu sneezing violently. According to superstition, he assumes his buddy Tenma must be gossiping about him. Just hearing that name fills Saya with worry. She silently prays that he is still alive out there. Remu mercilessly teases her for harboring a crush, prompting her to blast him with a sudden splash of her water arts. He mocks her for the cheap shot, but she counters cold-heartedly. In sparring, there are no dirty tricks, only openings exploited by the swift. Watching from the shadows is their master, a cyborg instructor hell-bent on whipping them into shape before the qualifiers begin. Saya has already ascended to level 11, leaving Remu trailing behind at level 10. Both are elementalists, hungry to test their mettle against other awakeners. We then cut back to Ray's arrogant face. He is visibly irritated. The hound has failed to report back, and the incompetence of his minions is fueling his rage. His agent suggests a search party, but Ray dismisses it instantly. The qualifiers are the only thing that matters. If he fails, his father will flay him alive. It is worth noting the lengths this man has gone to. He has bribed nearly 800 contestants to secure their cooperation. Every single one of them is level 5 or higher. Ray appreciates his agent's competence compared to the trash he usually deals with. He consumes the final stone, forcing a level up. He now stands at level 12, wielding lightning as his element. He arrogantly believes he is the apex predator of this tournament. Back at the main scene, our boy bows his head, apologizing to his master for failing to save Aja sooner. The Northern Commander considers simply erasing Ray from existence, but Tenma intervenes, begging him to stay his hand and leave the rival to him. Mendu agrees to hold back, deciding to ask for details later. Meanwhile, Iberia stares, unable to comprehend the scene before him. The terrifying Northern Commander is acting like close friends with a level 0 nobody. Tenma declares his intent to dominate the qualifiers, and the Commander gives his blessing. Thankfully, Aja seems to be recovering well. Her butterfly spirit healed her wounds, and Iberia even assisted with a rare artifact. This generosity sparks the commander's curiosity about the crafter's son. Mendu recognizes the boy's lineage, and his expectations suddenly skyrocket. Iberia decides to uphold his family's honor. He steps forward to make a cool, aura-filled declaration, stating that he is Aiden's father. You heard that correctly. The clown completely butchered the sentence. He disappoints everyone present and humiliates himself to the core. Ignoring the negative aura of embarrassment, Mendu is simply grateful. He plans to pay proper respects to the artisan after the tournament for saving his daughter. With the qualifiers looming on the horizon, he advises both young men to train hard. He expects great things from this duo. Tenma and Iberia radiate confidence in their victory. However, Aja is left stunned by her father's sudden and intense interest in Tenma. The truth about Tenma is dark. He carries childhood trauma deep enough to rival a vigilante of the night, fueling his merciless slaughter of monsters. Yet, that murderous impulse softens around those he cherishes. This is why Mendu wants his daughter by Tenma's side. He is someone who protects his own with his life. Furthermore, do you recall the skeleton soldier that appeared at the school in the beginning? It was no random occurrence. It was a calculated, premeditated attack. Traitors are multiplying within humanity's ranks, striking at other commanders. Mendu fears that mankind is sprinting toward its own extinction. But Tenma is the anomaly. He is the barrier standing against the void, a beacon of hope that might just save them all. Finally, we arrive at District 4. The tournament is about to commence. Tenma is taken aback by the sheer scale. Mendu's presence alone has drawn a massive crowd, swelling the participant count to 5,000. This spells disaster for Ray. The influx of random fighters means his percentage of bribed subordinates has just plummeted, but his handler dismisses the threat entirely. The corrupt participants are already marked with red armbands, signaling their allegiance to the highest bidder. Even the observers, Sia and Remu, sense something is amiss. Chief Supervisor Fujiwara steps forward to initiate the briefing. The battlefield is split into two distinct zones, the treacherous external region and the coveted internal arena. The first trial commences at the 4 cardinal towers of the Outer Lands. Contestants must carve a bloody path through the competition to reach the sanctuary of the internal region. Entry alone seals their fate, etching their rank onto their system bracelets. Out of 5,000 hopefuls, only the top 500 will survive the cull. Seiya trembles at the math. 4,500 warriors are destined to fall in this opening round alone. The rules of engagement are simple. 2 weapons or tools per fighter. Anything goes in this war for survival. Iberia spots the target instantly. Ray stands arrogantly behind his wall of bribed awakeners. Tenma sees right through the scheme. That coward bought an army to pave his way straight to the finish line. Ignoring all logic, Tenma strides fearlessly toward the bespectacled red-haired tyrant. The exam begins, and Supervisor Fujiwara watches with keen interest. The rugged observer, a dead ringer for a legendary assassin, values quality over mere numbers. His stats remain a mystery. In the past, only he and Jin possessed the power to truly dominate the competition. Heen searches the crowd, desperate to find a diamond in the rough, a warrior capable of dazzling the world. But true geniuses are born, not made. Fujiwara keeps his expectations brutally low. Heen recalls a disturbing rumor. A novice who slayed a level 8 calamity moments after awakening. He turns to Menu for confirmation. The Northern Commander nods solemnly. The question hangs in the air. Is that monster participating today? Curiosity piqued, Fujiwara scans the roster, hunting for the anomaly. It isn't Remu or Sia. His eyes land on Hana Hanu, a wood element prodigy boasting a staggering level 16. She looks the part, but Menu's silence speaks volumes. She is not the one. While Hanu holds the highest rank, Fujiwara asks the pivotal question. Are there any level 0s? Every year, 1 fodder participant enters, only to be crushed. Speaking of the bottom of the barrel, Ray sneers at the rookie standing before him. He has no idea this weakling already dismantled 2 of his elite guards. The moment Tenma unholsters Charles's crossbow, the arrogance is wiped from Ray's face. Tenma smirks. He knows exactly why this clown has been hunting him down. Ray dismisses him as a mere distraction. With a sharp gesture, he commands his minions to slaughter the boy. Ray leaps away, racing toward the internal region. leaving Tenma surrounded by a pack of wolves, all with levels far superior to his own. Heen watches in disbelief. How can a level 0 possibly survive against multiple level 6 and 7 awakeners? Iberia trembles, convinced that facing 4 assailants means certain death. Tenma is ready to unveil his trump card, when a goon taunts him. Tenma's voice cuts through the noise. Move! Laughter erupts from the group. To them, he is just an arrogant child signing his own death warrant. Heen grins, admiring the kid's guts. He prepares to intervene the moment things turn fatal. The thug lunges only to have his face caved in. One punch. Tenma steps over the body, repeating his command, move. Heen's jaw drops. A level 0, just instant killed a superior opponent. The remaining fighters unleash hell to incinerate the threat. Iberia can only watch, helpless to intervene. The explosion is massive. Surely, the rookie has been reduced to ash. But as the smoke clears, not a single scratch. His proficiency with black ice skyrockets with every block strike. They gasp. He neutralized fire with ice. Tenma taunts them to try again. Enraged, the mage unleashes a B-rank flamethrower at maximum output. Tenma doesn't budge. He stands in the inferno, embracing the heat. The fire elementalist collapses, drained of all mana. He is certain his flames have consumed the boy. But Tenma emerges from the blaze like a demon. His arm is encased in a gauntlet of swirling black ice. Panic sets in. If their strongest attack failed, they are defenseless. Desperate fireball volleys bounce off him harmlessly. Changing tactics, they attempt to drain his stamina. Too slow. Tenma closes the distance in a blur. With overwhelming strength, he obliterates another awakener instantly. Only 2 remain, the lightning warriors. He warns them of their impending doom, yet the fools refuse to listen, rushing ahead to activate their dual skills in a desperate gamble. Heen watches in paralyzed shock as a single level 0 awakener slaughters an entire squad, standing amidst the carnage. Iberia praises her partner's godlike performance. The crowd refuses to believe such power comes from a rankless nobody, but Iberia declares their dominance, promising they will be the greatest legends this tournament has ever known. Meanwhile, Rai stalks the battlefield, his mind fixated on the crossbow, when suddenly, an unlucky awakener crosses his path, only to be struck down like a stray mutt. Rai reminds the peasant of his place. No one stands above the young master. He gathers his remaining lackeys, barking orders to maintain their formation. The examiners observe his ruthless tyranny, watching the heir of the Kinoshita family display his arrogant nature. Tragically, cruelty is not against the rules, so they cannot intervene. Rai smirks, fully confident that victory is already in the palm of his hand. Suddenly, a voice pierces the air, calling his name. It is none other than the dynamic duo from before. Raji stares in disbelief. How on earth did this trash survive his trap? The sheer impossibility leaves him shaken. He mocks our boy as level 0 garbage, but Tenma remains unfazed. Refusing a fair fight, Raji signals his army, summoning 100 warriors to crush a single man. Tenma accepts the challenge with a cold smile. He gently covers Iberia's ears, then vanishes. Moving at lightning speed, he slams Raji with devastating force. This is his declaration of war. He vows that his prey will not leave this arena alive until the debt of blood is paid in full. Elsewhere, Seiya and Ramyu struggle against the odds but manage to breach the inner circle. The leaderboard shifts rapidly. Wei takes 3rd, Agami takes 2nd, while Hanu dominates at the peak of the rankings. Though outmatched by the elites, Iberia secures 6th place, shouting Tenma's name to the heavens as she crosses the line. But the man of the hour ignores the finish line. He chooses violence, intending to farm the entire party of 100 enemies for experience points. The examiners are baffled by this anomaly, unable to comprehend the logic of this mysterious candidate. Heen begins to tremble, realizing this rankless monster might just devour them all. Raji sees him as a mere insect to be crushed, confident in his 100-to-1 advantage. But he fails to realize that for our boy, revenge is the only priority. Avenging Aga is all that matters. The tournament be damned, as the army charges, the slaughter begins, but our protagonist doesn't even flinch. He obliterates the first assailant in a single heartbeat. Doubt ripples through the enemy ranks as they question his level 0 status. Tenma unleashes his skill. Lotus burst, nuking the entire battlefield into oblivion. The world watches in awe. even though safe in the completion zone. The examiners gasp at the catastrophic blast radius of the detonation. Even Agami acknowledges the sudden evolution, but Tenma's eyes are locked on only one target, the punk who started this war. He just insta-killed 99 enemies. Now, only Raji remains to face judgment. Tenma approaches like the Grim Reaper. Raji, still clinging to his delusion of superiority, screams that he can still win this fight. He unleashes his ultimate art. The Thunder Cannon Tenma simply activates his analysis skill, weaves through the attack, and buries his fist into the man's gut, reducing him to a groveling worm. Desperate, Raji screams for his attendant. The servant shatters the rules, invading the arena to save his master. He is a level 35 Awakener but Examiner. Hayton moves instantly, intercepting the intruder to protect the sanctity of the duel. Our boy senses a high-speed approach, realizing multiple enemies are closing in. The agent lunges, but Hayton smashes him into the dirt, shouting for Tenma to finish what he started. Tenma looks down at the pathetic dog begging for mercy. Before Raji can finish his sob story, Tenma pulverizes his skull aga. His beloved has finally been avenged. He pauses the analysis process to savor the victory, but a familiar voice breaks his trance. Seiya and the others welcome the conqueror as he approaches the safe zone. She looks at him with eyes full of admiration, hearts fluttering after witnessing his brutal dominance. Tenma finally crosses the line, taking 7th place. Immediately, sparks fly between Iberia and Remu. It is a clash of jealous possessiveness. Both demand the title of Tenma's #1 companion. They bicker and rage bait each other, fighting for his attention with everything they have. The examiner announces the end of stage 1. The second stage begins now. It is a survival mode hunt monsters for 1 hour straight. The intensity rises. The 7 finalists step forward, arriving at the venue to face the true horror of the exam. The atmosphere is heavy with curiosity. Seiya and Remu are desperate to uncover the secret of Tenma's strength. As the examiners call for readiness, they are brought face to face with the heavyweights of the generation, standing shoulder to shoulder with legends. The rules are simple slaughter beasts to earn difficulty points, but there is a catch: a 1-minute cooldown penalty after every kill. Gakui instantly decides to target the apex predators to maximize efficiency. While others plan, Tenma raises his hand. His eyes burn with ambition as he asks, "Is the Nightmare class truly the limit of this hell?" The spectators scoff, doubting his power is enough to face such a calamity, but Fujiwara silences them with a chilling truth: Nightmare-level beasts possess infinite potential for destruction. Each abomination is unique, so trying to predict their strength is a fool's errand. This trial isn't just a test, it is the foundation of their destiny, to ascend as a top-ranked savior. Perfection is the only option. With the legendary Jin score of 115,000 etched in his mind, our protagonist aims for the impossible to surpass humanity's strongest. The gates open, and the trial of hell begins. The first wave is nothing but fodder. Tenma unleashes his frost arts, freezing them in an instant to rush toward the real challenge. Among the observers, only Heen watches with bated breath, eyes trembling with anticipation. In the blink of an eye, the entire horde is obliterated. This overwhelming dominance is exactly what Hatton was searching for. Yet, Fujiwara remains skeptical. He believes the level 8 monstrosity waiting in the shadows will finally break the boy's streak. Struggling at that tier is natural for a rookie, but Menu, desperate to shield his student from scrutiny, quickly shifts the spotlight to the other contenders. The rest of the pack is performing well, but the only true rival threatening Tenma's throne is the prodigy, Hanu. Back in the arena, Tenma walks through a roaring inferno. The flames lick his skin, but he emerges completely unscathed. A single flash of his blade, the beast falls in 5 seconds flat, granting him 500 points in an instant. Heen is puzzled by the delay, but he misses the bigger picture. Tenma isn't just winning, he's farming defense stats by tanking every single hit. The next obstacle appears: the thunderous Elect Rhino, a high-tier beast worth 1,000 points, where a single touch means instant paralysis and death. Victory demands godlike speed, yet Tenma strolls forward casually. He even eyes the creature's horn like it's a piece of loot. Impact. The rhino sends him flying, but the man feels absolutely nothing. He treats a lethal blow like a mere breeze, putting on a show for the crowd. That hit was all he needed. His endurance stats skyrocket. Playtime is over. Tenma lunges, slaughtering the beast in just 7 seconds. Fujiwara smiles grimly. The next challenger is a nightmare with attack and defense stats that defy logic. It is the calamity of the preliminaries, a creature whispered about in fear by all who enter the exams. Behold, the nightmare-class purgatory giant. But the hype crumbles instantly. Tenma obliterates it with a single piercing orb, posing nonchalantly over the corpse. He is bored with these toys. With cold arrogance, he demands the examiners unleash the next nightmare-class entity. Elsewhere, Saya Hisagi drives her blade through a monster's skull, scheming to crush the last 2 targets and ascend to the normal class. Victory is within reach. The system chimes, notifying her that the beginner class is nearly conquered. Gaku grins, fully convinced he will be the first to cross the finish line. As Hanahanu pauses to regenerate mana, reality shatters. A system announcement blares across the entire arena. The Nightmare class has been cleared by the 21st rank in record time. The impossible news sends a tremor through every participant. Saya freezes. She knows instantly only Tenma possesses such monstrous power. In the control room, the judges are left speechless. He didn't just win, he instantly annihilated a level 15 purgatory giant. Desperate to test his limits, they crank the difficulty to maximum, yet, checking his status window, our hero feels only disappointment. He expected a legendary awakening. Instead, the system grants him nothing but a handful of measly points. Frustrated, he turns his gaze to the next victim to vent his anger. 1 attack, 1 kill. The black sphere pierces through, leaving the examiners terrified of its unknown origin and infinite potential. Heen analyzes the data. The boy's strength is off the charts, but he spots a fatal weakness in the technique. Suddenly, a shadow moves. Tenma now faces a predator faster than anything he has ever encountered. Heen explains the trap. Purgatory giants appear sluggish due to their size, but that is a deadly illusion. They possess 0 mana. In exchange, their physical parameters are evolved to a monstrous degree. Tenma fires, but he strikes only air. The beast weaves through his barrage with overwhelming speed. And there it is. The weakness Heen feared has been exposed. The black spheres carry devastating power, but their velocity is too slow for high-tier monsters. Still, Tenma is a master of combat. He exploits the giant's battle cry, launching an attack the moment it pauses to scream. However, the conclusion is grim. If he cannot accelerate his projectiles, his path to the top ends here. The battle drags on. Sweat beads on his forehead as the stalemate continues. Seeing the beast evade every mid-range strike, even Fujiwara begins to panic. If the boy relies solely on that sphere without a backup plan, it means he has run out of cards to play. To the crowd's utter shock, a chilling smirk curls across Tenma's lips. He has pierced through the beast's attack pattern, realizing the key's interception be not evasion. In a flash, Hunter and Beast charge, colliding in a frenzy of killing intent. The behemoth swings a fist heavy with death, slamming it down upon our boy and shattering the arena floor into dust. Panic erupts instantly. The staff scrambles to summon the rescue team, knowing a direct hit from an electric rhino spells certain doom. But the dust settles, and the truth is revealed. The attack struck nothing but air. The beast scans the ruin in confusion, its prey nowhere to be found. Death arrives from the shadows. Tenma appears behind the creature, unleashing his black sphere technique and obliterating its head in a single gruesome strike. 12 seconds. That is all it took. Agaya watches in stunned silence, unable to comprehend how Tenma annihilated such a calamity-class monster so effortlessly. As Izumi and Fujihara glance her way, they catch a glimpse of something rare, genuine fear etched upon her face. Flustered, she scrambles to compose herself, stammering that she was merely praying for safety and would have done the same for any other fighter. But her desperate excuses only confirm their suspicions. The Ice Queen has certainly become uncharacteristically emotional lately. The Elder turns his gaze to Heen, puzzled as to why Tenma chose evasion over a head-on clash in the early moments. Heen reveals the terrifying truth. Tenma's raw velocity now rivals that of the Purgatory Giant itself. The moment electricity courses through his meridians, his agility spikes to godlike levels. With that skill active, not even a Purgatory Giant can hope to graze his shadow. Ecstatic, the Elder declares Tenma worthy of the throne, yet, looking at the arena, our boy shows zero intention of stopping. His eyes are set on a higher peak surpassing humanity's strongest, Jin Taewa. Resting now would only mean surrendering to mediocrity. With iron resolve, he plunges back into the fray, slaughtering purgatory monsters one by one. The Elder recalls that even in his prime, he barely reached Phase 4 in a single run. Heen grimly clarifies that reaching that phase was the absolute limit, with no hope of advancing further. They acknowledge that even the legendary Heighten hit his ceiling at Phase 3. With heavy hearts, they watch on as Tenma battles against impossible odds. Tenma weaves a new strategy for the second beast, executing it with surgical precision and flawless results. However, for the third monstrosity, he discards caution entirely for a strategy that borders on madness. He willingly dives into the monster's maw, only to tear it apart from the inside out in a shower of gore. 13 seconds is all it takes to clear the giants. Fujihara stands paralyzed, witnessing the very power that decimated the first stage's participants now unleashed in full force. His mana reserves should be dry, but as long as the disaster beasts spawn, his mana sense passive drinks in their energy to refuel his tank. Suddenly, the atmosphere grows heavy. Nightmare class, Phase 4, begins. 4 towering purgatory giants descend to crush our hero. Thanks to his passive, his mana roars back to 40%. If Tenma clears this hellish phase, he will officially eclipse Heighten's legacy. Aside from Jean Taewa, no human has ever survived this. Heen leans forward, desperate to witness the true depths of Tenma's potential. As the velocity of his piercing truth sphere accelerates, its deadly accuracy multiplies in tandem. If Tenma can push this speed just a fraction higher, he can decapitate his foes without ever entering their kill zone. But with his mana critically low, there is no room for error. Every single strike must be a killing blow. Abruptly, chains burst from the purgatory giant's body, snake-like and fast, binding our hero before he can react. The giant slams its fist into the earth to anchor itself, then snatches Tenma in a vice-like grip. He is trapped, with zero leverage to break free. Then comes the pain. The giant squeezes, shattering his bones like glass, before hurling his broken body onto the unforgiving stone. Seeing Tenma broken and bleeding in the dust, Fujihara screams at Heen to intervene immediately. Heen freezes, seeing his own past failures reflected in Tenma's defeat. He moves to save him, but Izumi blocks his path, insisting that the fire in Tenma's soul has not yet been extinguished. The group explodes in outrage, screaming that this isn't the time for faith, when Tenma is seconds away from death, yet Izumi stands like a statue, convinced that our hero is holding onto a trump card. Fujihara demands to know the source of this confidence. Izumi simply points to the arena. Those are not the eyes of a man who has accepted his grave. Broken bones and all, the protagonist rises. He stands before the Titan, refusing to let his story end here after coming so far. Back during the duel with Raji Kinoshita, the over Mimesis skill had triggered, but Tenma halted the analysis at the very last second. He saved it for this exact moment of despair. He resumes the sequence, and it completes instantly. Suddenly, Agaya's face lights up as a mystical blue lotus blooms on the battlefield. Fujihara questions the utility of a flower in a bloodbath, and Heen is equally baffled. But then, the Thunderwave skill activates. System effect triggered. Absorb all B rank or lower lightning attacks. The resulting energy discharge boosts agility by 100%. Bathed in lightning, his health bar refills to maximum. The warm-up is over. Now, the real slaughter begins. Fujihara's eyes widened in total disbelief. Tenma wasn't just recovering, his wounds were knitting together with a speed that put dedicated high-rank healers to shame. It defied all logic. How could a single fighter possess such a bottomless arsenal of skills? In a flash of steel, Tenma tore through the Purgatory Giant's Phase 4, shattered in a mere 31 seconds. Standing amidst the carnage, our hero knew one thing for certain: numbers meant nothing to a predator like him. A massive shadow loomed from above, but before the giant could even land, a single shot rang out, obliterating the beast in a heartbeat. System alert. His flight speed skyrocketed by 2,700%. He became a blur in the sky, a reaper harvesting the lives of the giants. Phase 5 fell in under 60 seconds. Phase 6 followed, crumbling into dust in just a minute and a half. Witnessing Tenma massacre the Purgatory Giants like they were insects, the spectators stood frozen in terror. They began to wonder, was the real monster the beast in the arena, or the human slaughtering them? Our hero sat amidst the ruin, blade thirsting for more blood, but the arena remained silent. No new enemies appeared. Fujihara, trembling, tapped the microphone. With a shaky voice, he broke the news Tenma had literally exterminated their entire stock of purgatory giants. Tenma blinked in confusion. He had no idea there was a limit to the difficulty cap. He was just getting started. He had lost count of the bodies long ago, since the system restricted his leveling. The ocean of experience points from the disaster beast coalesced into something else, precious karma stones. Fujihara gasped, spotting the glowing gem resting on the testing ground floor. That distinct azure hue. He knew instantly that it contained at least 10,000 experience points. Izumi smirked, explaining the anomaly. Since Tenma's vessel couldn't absorb the experience directly, the world's laws crystallized that power into karma stones instead. As our hero exited the gate, Fujihara rushed over, piling on the praise. He immediately extended an invitation, promising to pair Tenma with a top-tier instructor to nurture his potential. But Tenma didn't hesitate. He politely but firmly declined. He already had a master. Fujihara pressed on, desperate. He argued that a no-name teacher would only stifle a dragon like Tenma. Only someone with deep connections and vast resources could truly handle his growth. Hitan stepped in, his voice sharp. He warned the old man to back off, lest his persistence turn the young prodigy against him completely. Unwilling to give up, the elder pleaded with Hitan to help convince the boy, insisting it was a crime to let such talent go to waste. Just then, Tenma bowed respectfully to his master. The old man's jaw hit the floor as Hitan casually remarked that he didn't mind assisting a student of the legendary Izumi. Fujihara's brain short-circuited. This monster was Izumi's disciple. Suddenly, Tenma's impossible strength made perfect sense. Izumi scanned her pupil for wounds, but seeing the battle lust still burning in his eyes, eager for Phase 7, she knew he was perfectly fine. Tenma confirmed it. No injuries, just a depleted stamina bar. Give him a moment to breathe, and he would be ready to kill again. Fujihara stared in silence, finally grasping the terrifying depth of the young talent standing before him. It turned out, Izumi's lineage was full of monsters. Her other students had also decimated the second stage. Tenma asked if Tewa had reached Phase 6 back in the day, but the old man shook his head. Back then, Phase 4 was the limit. Because the previous generation was too strong, they had raised the ceiling to 8 phases this time. Though realistically, most only ever saw Phase 6. Izumi gestured to the screens. It was time to watch how the ordinary mortals handled the hell that Tenma had just breezed through. Meanwhile, Remy was already gasping for air. Exhausted from the hard class, the nightmare class crushed his spirit instantly. He tapped out. Sia fought with everything she had, entrapping the beast within a suffocating sphere of hydro magic. But with her mana reserves running on fumes, the wall of difficulty was too high. She surrendered. Tenma frowned, surprised he had expected these two to show a bit more grit. Fujihara sighed, reminding the monster beside him that for normal people, even clearing the normal class was a badge of honor. Considering they had taken down the electric rhino so quickly, their spots in the top 10 were all but guaranteed. Yet, the fighters remained trapped inside. The rules were cruel unless you were on death's door. There was no leaving the testing ground early. Elsewhere, the remaining elite participants stepped into the despair of the nightmare class. Hitan smirked, confident that Gaku-wa would slay at least one purgatory giant, thanks to the rare grade artifact he wielded. But all eyes turned to Shion Akagami, a Shikigami user. Her resolve was visibly burning. In a burst of energy, Shion morphed into a hulking beast, delivering a bone-shattering punch to the giant's eye. Tenma's eyes lit up. He didn't know Shikigami allowed for physical transformation. He immediately wondered if Agea's Jade Butterfly possessed a similar hidden power. But Agea quickly shot that hope down. She couldn't transform, even for her. Witnessing a Shikigami user fuse with their spirit was a first. Shikigami powers were vast and shrouded in mystery. She warned Tenma gravely if he ever crossed blades with a user like that, he shouldn't underestimate the unknown. Acknowledging the threat, Tenma made a decision. From now on, every drop of experience would be fed to the black dog he had snatched from Charles. With his potential rivals, Sia and Remy, already out of the picture, Tenma saw no value in lingering. He turned to leave. Suddenly, a presence flared up on the screen. Tenma froze, his gaze locking onto Eber. That armor. It was unmistakable. The epic dragon gear. The The ultimate heirloom left by Iber's father. It wasn't just metal, it was alive, an artifact with a will of its own that chose its master. Iber had walked through hell itself to prove his worthiness. Now, clad in dragon scales, his stats were skyrocketing with every passing second, but such power came with a curse. He had a hard limit of 15 minutes. If he didn't end the battle before the clock ran out, the penalty would be catastrophic. As Ibra stands toe-to-toe against the colossal purgatory giants, realization strikes. The announcement about the nightmare class being conquered. It could only be the work of Tenma. He grits his teeth, swearing not to become dead weight to his comrade. Together, they are the invincible duo of a one. With a primal roar, Ibra launches himself at the Titan. His strike shatters its armor into dust, and with that final blow, the second stage draws to a close. Fujihara's voice booms across the arena. Only the top 10 warriors with the highest points will proceed to the main event, but for the top 2, legendary rewards await. Gaku smirks, overflowing with confidence. Aside from Hanyu, no one could possibly outscore him. That special reward is practically in his hands. Fujihara proceeds to unveil the top 10. A collective gasp sweeps through the crowd as the leaderboards flash onto the screen. Disbelief washes over them. Our hero has shattered expectations with over 100,000 points. Even the mighty Gintewa only managed 60,000. With a score like that, national dominance is all but guaranteed. Remu's mind races, doing the math. Each purgatory giant is worth a mere 5,000 points. Just how many monsters did our hero slaughter to reach that godlike number? Meanwhile, Gaku stares in horror. Third place, beaten by some unknown variable, his pride crumbles into dust. Seiya bites her lip, her heart sinking. The chasm of power between her and Tenma feels infinite. Perhaps she simply wasn't built for the battlefield. Fujihara declares the end of the provincial qualifiers. Tenma sits upon the throne of the national rankings, commanding a staggering lead of 65,000 points. Ibra cannot see his father in the stands. Yet, in his heart, he feels the warmth of paternal pride. He cheers for his friend's absolute victory, but a smirk plays on his lips. He held his own. The name of Double One remains untarnished. The 21st Savior Alliance National Tournament qualifiers have officially concluded. Exhausted but triumphant, our hero carries his comrade away from the battlefield. Meanwhile, deep in the South Continent's District 1, a fighter grumbles, annoyed at being dragged out just to watch an old man meditate. His partner hisses a warning instantly. That old man is Bargar, the commander of the South, the one who sees the threads of fate itself. Still, the fighter questions the logic. Why are the warnings always issued only after the barriers are up, if Bargar truly sees the future? Shouldn't he know exactly where the monoliths will descend? The truth is complex. Bargar can only glimpse a sliver of time, a fragmented moment of the future. Yet, he stands shoulder to shoulder with legends like Izumi for one reason alone: his prophecies are never wrong. Suddenly, Bargar's eyes widen in terror. He collapses, trembling as his followers rush to catch him. His voice cracks with urgency. The North is doomed. A cataclysm approaches. A massive disaster beast is descending upon the northern continent. And amongst the horde, a monster exceeding level 100. Back in safety, Tenma checks his status window. His stats have finally breached the 1,500 mark. For a normal awakener, this power rivals a level 30 veteran. Thanks to his passive skills, his agility and defense have limitless potential. His mana regenerates endlessly through the Mana Sense passive, but there is one glaring weakness: attack power. It is the only stat he cannot raise, and doubt begins to creep in. Just then, the aroma of dinner and the voices of friends break his concentration. He swipes the system window away. The quest for stronger offensive skills can wait until tomorrow. At the dining table, the atmosphere is lively, but one chair is empty. Ibra is nowhere to be seen. Seiya explains the situation gently. She healed his wounds earlier, but the battle took its toll. He is currently in a deep, restorative slumber. Remu shakes his head in disbelief. To think Ibra cleared the Nightmare class. A feat that even he and Seiya could not achieve. Suddenly, Seiya freezes, her eyes locking onto something in the shadows. She warns Remu to turn around. A towering figure looms behind him like a ghost. It's Ibra. He lunges at the table, devouring food like a starving beast. Remyu explodes, scolding him for the jump scare and his lack of manners. Ibra slams the plate down. Remyu flinches, expecting a fight. But instead, a satisfied sigh escapes Ibra's lips. The food was divine. He looks Remyu dead in the eye with serious advice. Forget being an awakener. Become a chef. Clearly, his talents lie in the kitchen, not the dungeon. The laughter dies down as Izumi interrupts with a heavy question. He asks the saviors, "What is it that you fear the most?" Remyu pauses, his spoon hovering in midair. He searches his soul for the answer. His dream is simple yet grand, to save a fortune and taste every delicacy on earth. Therefore, his greatest enemy is time itself. He dreads the day his body grows too frail to travel. He fears the moment his taste buds dull, unable to savor the world's flavors. Seiya speaks next. Born into a lineage of healers, the hospital was her playground, but witnessing endless suffering left a scar on her soul. The trauma runs so deep that even a simple cold sends shivers of terror down her spine. A realization hits our hero like a truck. That explains why she fled in panic when he sneezed the other day. Izumi smiles, offering words of wisdom. An awakener lives twice as long as a mortal. Disease rarely touches us. They can cast those fears into the fire. However, Ibra's fear was much more immediate. He was terrified of failing the qualifiers. Now that he has passed, a new fear takes root. The fear of being left behind, unable to stand by Tenma's side. He turns to our hero, demanding his answer. The group falls silent. Surely, a monster like him fears nothing. Our hero's expression softens. After the death of his parents, survival was his only thought. He was drowning in a sea of helplessness, rage, and sorrow, until the day Seiya and Remyu pulled him from the darkness. Tears streamed down his face, but they gently approached him, urging him to cast his gaze upward toward the boundless heavens rather than the dirt below. They offered sanctuary for his ailments and a feast to wash away the darkness clouding his heart. Pulled from the abyss of despair by the warmth of true friendship, he finally crossed paths with Sensei Agea and Iberia. In their presence, he found not just allies, but a family. Our hero confesses that for the first time in an eternity, peace has settled in his soul, a moment he prays will never end. For deep down, his greatest terror was the hollow silence of solitude. Aja is overcome with emotion, seeing the hero's aura so serene and gentle, a stark contrast to the chilling, murderous intent that once surrounded him. Suddenly, Iberia lunges forward. She wraps him in a tight embrace, swearing an oath to never leave his side. Izumi reveals the truth behind his question. It was a trial of resolve. He had to know if they would waver when facing true annihilation, for a savior must never know the weight of regret. His voice turns steel hard as he declares that a death without regrets is the ultimate glory for any awakener. He commands them to rest and gather their strength, for Kisaragi and Harino must march for the northern district at first light. When the sun rises, farewells are exchanged. Iberia turns to Remyu, demanding he prepare that taste of home for them once more. Seeing tears well up in Remu's eyes, our hero is struck by a realization he hadn't noticed when their bond had become so profound. A thought strikes him. There was a question meant for Saya. He resolves to confront her during the chaos of the grand arena. But peace is short-lived. Agia bursts onto the scene, breathless, carrying top-secret intelligence straight from the southern continent. She warns Izumi that this intel is classified eyes only, restricted to saviors rank 50 and above, and the continent commanders themselves. But the master waves his hand. Izumi commands Agea to speak freely, placing absolute trust in our hero and his companions. The news drops like a bombshell. The great prophet, Elder Bargar, has foreseen a cataclysm. A massive disaster beast invasion will strike the northern continent within 3 days. Tenma questions the validity of the vision, but he is quickly silenced. Bargar is a legend across the 5 continents. His words are not guesses. They are destiny written in stone. Panic rises in Agia's voice as she begs Izumi to evacuate the northern continent immediately. But Izumi sees the pattern. He knows this massive assault isn't random. The beasts are hunting a specific target, and that target is likely him. Izumi considers offering himself as bait, but Agea cuts him off. Combat is not his domain, and the risk to the commander is too great. She pleads with him to retreat to the central continent and preserve his life for the greater war. Our hero steps forward, eyes burning with determination, agreeing with Ajia but offering to stay behind and hold the line. Yet, Izumi refuses to retreat. He turns to Tenma with a heavy gaze. He has a different mission for his student. Tenma argues that protecting his master is the only priority, but Izumi counters with a critical fact. Iberia's father, Aiden, is the apex crafter of the 5 continents. His loss would be catastrophic. Thus, the order is given. Tenma must escort Iberia and stand guard over Aiden. As a precaution, a squad of elite awakeners will serve as backup. Watching Izumi split their forces just to protect a single crafter, Tenma feels a twinge of suspicion. Is the master simply trying to shield him from the bloodbath? Before he can object, Izumi issues 3 absolute commands to Ajia. First, declare a state of emergency. Civilians must be warned, and all awakeners below rank 50 must lead the evacuation. Second, mobilize the elite. Every awakener rank 50 and above must stand ready to intercept the calamity the moment it descends. Third, summon Heighten to the northern district immediately. The population there is sparse. They can unleash their full power without fear of collateral damage, for Izumi plans to crush the disaster beast in a head-on collision. Later, Ajia confirms to her father that all pieces are in place and Heighten is en route. As Izumi dismisses her, he catches a flicker of doubt in her eyes. She is holding back a question. It is the question that haunts them both. Why send Tenma away to guard Aiden when his power is needed here? Seeing she cannot hide her curiosity, Izumi reveals the terrifying truth. The prophesied disaster beasts are not normal foes. Their levels could easily exceed 100. If Tenma were to clash with such god-tier monsters, he would have no choice. He would be forced to unleash his full power, involuntarily exposing every secret technique and trump card he possesses to the enemy. Aja counters immediately, seeing the flaw. By revealing Tenma's capabilities now, the disaster beast would analyze his strength, evolve countermeasures, and inevitably slaughter him in the future. But her father smiles grimly. He shares one final observation about their prodigy. Tenma is versatile, yes, but he lacks raw, devastating attack power. However, rumors whisper that Aiden holds a legendary artifact capable of amplifying offensive might beyond reason. If Tenma can secure that artifact, the game changes. He would become the ultimate awakener, filling the only void in his arsenal and transcending his limits. The clock strikes 8 on the first night of the prophecy. Suddenly, the sky tears open. Massive monoliths rain down upon the northern districts, signaling the beginning of the end. In the heart of North District 2, Tenma and Iberia are pushing their bodies to the absolute limit. They sprint through the chaos, desperate to reach Iberia's father, knowing the siren of doom could wail at any second. Suddenly, the sky betrays them. A massive monolith crashes down, striking the city center. The invasion has begun. Tenma scans the panic-stricken streets, unsure if the innocent have escaped the kill zone. If a disaster beast emerges now, the streets will surely run red with blood. Pandemonium erupts. Citizens scramble for survival, proving Elder Bargar's dark prophecy was terrifyingly accurate. Meanwhile, Tenma eyes the shimmering barrier sealing the zone, a cruel choice weighing on his soul. Should he save the civilians, knowing delay means death, or abandon them to focus entirely on the mission? Logic dictates that civilians are dead weight, yet he cannot bring himself to ask Iberia to walk away from the innocent. Iberia is running on fumes, consumed by worry for his father, yet he hasn't uttered a single complaint. But before Tenma speaks, Iberia shatters the silence, volunteering to save the people first. The decision is made. The new objective: annihilate the disaster beast immediately. Inside the inferno, a level 21 flame golem has already risen. Several heroes struggle in vain, their attacks bouncing off like pebbles against a mountain. It is a massacre in the making. As they lock eyes and assess the devastation, hope begins to drain from their souls. They turn to flee, except for one lone water elementalist who charges into the jaws of death. His legs shake, terror gripping his heart, but he refuses to bow to the fear threatening to consume him. With a desperate surge of mana, he manages to knock the beast back, but the golem regenerates. It roars, unleashing a tsunami of fire, and the heroes realize their fate. They are about to be incinerated, just as death reaches for them. Tenma descends, blocking the flames with a wall of ice. He commands Iberia to lead the evacuation while he faces the monster solo. The survivors gawk at the shield of frost, trembling as they ask Iberia if heaven has sent them a savior. Iberia denies divinity, declaring that one day he will surpass even the legendary Jintua. Yet the shaking crowd snaps back, calling him a brat despite being saved from certain death. All eyes shift to the battlefield where Tenma stands, encased in majestic ice armor. They whisper among themselves, is that a human or a living artifact walking among them? I once warned him about the Black Sphere. Its destructive power is absolute, but the casting time is a fatal flaw. Against a high-tier disaster beast, the projectile is simply too slow to be effective. Miss once, and the enemy adapts. A second chance will never come. Izumi's voice echoes in his mind, avoid using it unless there is no other choice. Use it only when the kill is 100% guaranteed. Back in reality, Tenma knows the sphere attracts too much attention, and rumors of his awakening are already spreading like wildfire. He shifts tactics, deciding that pure, overwhelming violence is the only answer. Thunderwave activate. He launches into the sky and drops a crushing kick, burying the monster's head into the pavement. The crowd goes silent. A mere teenager is manhandling a catastrophe-class monster. Many try to rationalize it, assuming the flame golem was already at death's door. But the frontline witnesses know the terrifying truth. The level 21 beast couldn't even touch him. The mystery of Tenma's true identity only deepens in their eyes. The moment the beast crumbles, the duo vanishes into the shadows. The surviving heroes remain frozen, minds unable to comprehend the divinity they just witnessed. While running, Tenma analyzes the data. Failing to instant kill a beast of this level is a bad omen. If this is the starting line, the horrors waiting ahead are unimaginable. Determination hardens his gaze. He must obtain more power, no matter the price. Iberia marvels at his velocity, but our hero knows the true speed without force is meaningless. Iberia catches on, his eyes lighting up. He knows a secret way to break through the limit. Tenma presses the issue. Surely, within his father's legendary warehouse, there lies an artifact capable of amplifying attack power. And as a disciple of the great Izumi, his father wouldn't dare refuse. The prestige alone should grant him access. Iberia practically salivates at the thought. Visions of his friend decked out in god-tier gear fill his mind as he rushes them toward the estate. Tenma believes he is moving at a snail's pace. Yet, glancing back, he sees Iberia gasping for air, unable to match his casual stride. This won't do. Before Iberia collapses from exhaustion, Tenma snatches him up. He cannot let his ally drain his stamina before the real battle begins. A scream tears from Iberia's throat as the world blurs. Tenma ignores the panic, ordering him to endure it. They have already wasted precious seconds. The hellish sprint finally ends. Iberia collapses. Thanking the heavens, he arrived with his soul still attached to his body. Tenma questions their location. Why choose a monster-infested forest over the safety of the city? Iberia explains true craftsmanship requires silence, something the bustling town cannot provide. But he offers a grim warning. Do not underestimate this place. Deadly traps lie hidden in every shadow. Tenma's senses tingle, so that explains the dense mana filling the air. Iberia assures him that sticking to the path guarantees safety. Tenma remains calm. With his heightened mana perception, avoiding these snares is child's play. But arrogance breeds misfortune. Iberia steps wrong. A click echoes, and panic seizes his face. He has triggered the worst trap of them all. Mana surges violently, the ground shakes. From the earth rises a colossus of steel. An iron golem blocks their path. Tenma's eyes widen. To think the old artisan crafted a humanoid guardian of this caliber. The construct swings a massive fist at Iberia. Tenma intercepts. The impact shudders through him. He realizes instantly in raw power, this machine outclasses him. Yet, he holds back his piercing true sphere. He cannot destroy a guardian meant to protect his friend's father. He shouts to Iberia amidst the chaos. Is there a shutdown mechanism? Iberia points to the chest, the Karma Stone. Removing the core is the only way to silence the beast. Tenma triggers Thunderwave. He may lack strength, but in speed, he is unrivaled. He scales the metallic arm like a phantom and snatches the stone from its housing. Juki, stop! Iberia's scream cuts the air. Tenma spins around, barely perceiving a lethal strike aimed at his neck. The attacker halts. Chuki assumed they were intruders. Tenma narrows his eyes. How did this man approach without emitting a single ripple of mana? Stranger still, the blade in Yuki's hand vanishes into thin air. Iberia attempts introductions, but Tenma cuts him off. There is no time for pleasantries. Juki points them toward the rear workshop, but he offers a warning: the master's in a foul temper today. Undeterred, Iberia bursts in. He boasts of his triumph passing the qualifiers, conquering the Nightmare class, and seizing 4th place in the entire region. He demands his reward, the promised artifact, but the only gift he receives is a thunderous slap across the face. His father's voice is cold. "Return the dragon gear you stole, now." Iberia stammers that it was merely borrowed. But the old man explodes. The fool. Does he not know that prolonged exposure to dragon gear scars the soul irreversibly? Iberia storms out in humiliation. The old man sighs, finally turning his gaze to Tenma. He recognizes the aura of Isumi's discipline immediately. Tenma bows. He reveals his mission. A prophecy foretells a catastrophic beast wave. He is the shield sent to ensure the master artisan survives. The craftsman scoffs. Isumi is notorious for her impossible standards. Why would she entrust her legacy to someone who looks so remarkably average? Wait. The old man's eyes bulge. He peers closer, sensing an anomaly. Could it be this boy's level? It is completely static. He accuses Tenma of masking his stats with an artifact, but Tenma meets his gaze evenly. No tricks. This is his reality. A sudden realization strikes the artisan. So this is why Isumi requested that specific cursed item. He chuckles darkly. That woman never makes a move without calculating the profit. She always demands a return on investment. Tenma blinks. He was promised nothing. His orders were simply to protect. Aiden reveals the truth. Isumi didn't just send a guard, she brokered a trade. Her disciple's protection in exchange for a very specific relic. Tenma shrugs. He would have done his duty regardless. But Aiden grins. He has no intention of breaking the deal. Yet, Aiden remains baffled. Why choose the failure? It was meant to be his masterpiece. An artifact to unlock an awakener's ultimate potential. But during the forging, a fracture appeared, the rank plummeted to unknown, and a bizarre, broken status effect manifested. The curse is absolute whenever the user levels up. Their critical rate resets to 0. For any normal awakener seeking growth, it is utter garbage, a useless trinket. He couldn't fathom why Isumi wanted it, but looking at Tenma now, the logic is terrifyingly perfect. This boy is an anomaly. Even without leveling, Tenma grows stronger. For a warrior whose level is eternally frozen, this curse is a blessing. As he slaughters the disaster beast, the reset will never trigger. His critical rate will climb endlessly, until it hits 100% wall. With this evolution, his future attacks will be amplified tenfold, unleashing devastating power. He equips the broken critical crystal. But there is a catch. The critical rate only spikes when facing enemies stronger than himself, a high-risk gamble indeed. But survival comes first. Tactics can wait. Amidst the chaos, Aiden identifies an artifact perfectly compatible with Tenma's energy signature. The protagonist thanks the old master, but Aiden waves it off. He forged this weapon in the heat of battle out of necessity, not charity. He assures our hero that this sanctuary is hidden from the disaster beast, unless, of course, their location has already been compromised by a traitor. Suddenly, the sky fractures. Everyone looks up in horror as a massive green barrier descends, sealing them within a cage of light. Aiden's blood runs cold. Only the supreme commanders of the 5 continents knew this location. The descent of the monument stone is no coincidence, it is a betrayal. Juk screams for everyone to retreat, but the protagonist's senses are already screaming a different warning. He cuts Juk off the disaster. Beasts are not just coming, they are already here. He can feel a legion of death closing in at breakneck speed. In a flash, the monsters breach their perimeter. One of the beasts lunges, its razor-sharp claws aiming straight for Tenma's throat. The hero intercepts the blow, slicing the beast in two. Against trash mobs like these, he is confident his lotus explosion will wipe them out instantly. He calculates that Juski possesses the durability to withstand the blast, but if he unleashes the full force of the lotus explosion now, Aiden and Iberia in the hut behind them would be caught in the devastation. With a whirlwind of steel, he carves a path through the monsters and falls back to guard the rear. Suddenly, the air grows heavy. A wave of mana far more terrifying than before washes over him. The real threat is approaching. Meanwhile, in the abyss, Demon King Yamaraja bows before his master. The vanguard, composed of low-tier slave beasts, has successfully infiltrated the human realm. He seeks the Lord's will, which of the 8 demon kings shall have the honor of leading the main invasion force. But the Lord has a different agenda. Through the all-seeing eye he left behind eons ago, he has spotted a singularity, a human of immense importance who must be captured alive. Yamaraja questions if this critical mission requires the overwhelming might of one of the 8 kings. The Lord refuses. A demon king's power is too catastrophic. It would shatter the eye and ruin the plan. Instead, a demon general shall suffice. As for leading the main army, the choice falls upon the savage, ape-eating demon. After all, that monster has been starving for the taste of living human flesh for far too long.